Show me the money.
Looking good, but I think I'm taking too long.
Back to the spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that?
All right, show me the money. NFL picks for week number 2 here on the podcast. Joining me today, I know I said last week Will Schneiderhan was going to be on here to talk some Jets and make some picks. Life happened. Something came up. Luckily, went to the bench, got a pinch hitter up here. He was a come on later in the year, but he's now up in week 2. Kevin Lillis is here. Kevin, how are you?
Mike, I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I want to say, hopefully, this goes better for us than Albert Armour pinch hitting for the Mets did last night.
I hope a lot of things go better than what the Mets have been doing.
Yeah.
But you know what? Javi Baez is starting to turn around it for me. I'm starting to like him a little bit more. I think maybe we should consider keeping him at the end of the year.
Yeah. Are you fully on board the keep Javi train? Because about 2 weeks ago, I was completely out on him.
I'm like walking alongside the train as it's pulling out of the station, deciding whether or not I'm going to jump on it or not. I'm still not there yet.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. I think this is an interesting analogy. I don't know if you agree on this. I feel like there is a lot of Yoenis Cespedes in him, whereas he will do things that drive you absolutely insane, like swinging at pitches that are bouncing at the front of the plate, but he'll also do things that you're like, wow, I don't know how he did that.
I can understand those vibes. I totally get that.
Yeah. And Yoenis, the first time worked out, the second not so much, so who knows with Javi.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, him and Lindor are good friends too, so maybe the chemistry will, get better and better as the next season comes along. That's if he stays around, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Mets next week more, but talk about the Jets today here. And the Jets, you and I know, they lost the opener 19-14, and what was your big takeaway from watching that game? What stuck out to you?
My big take is we may have to consider picks for an O-line, trading away picks for our O-line, because the only thing that really stuck out at me is that if the O-line doesn't improve, I don't even think Wilson will finish out the rest of the season, because I think he might get hurt.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Because I remember I was watching that game. I'm sitting here, the Lions is getting wrecked, and I have no idea why they started George Fant, who's like basically a turnstile at right tackle. Now Mekhi Becton is hurt. Zach Wilson after the game is like, hey, I have whiplash in that game. I can't blame him because he was basically running for his life from the jump.
Yeah, but out of it, I saw a quarterback that was pretty solid in his debut. I have to say, I know he struggled in the first half, but he bounced back and he did make it a close game. I think he has a lot of potential in all areas, and especially when it comes to passing. Yeah. But he needs to have more time and more protection, and he needs a better O-line.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because I watched that game, watching Zach Wilson closely. The first half, he had his struggles. Like, he looked at points like where the moment was a little too big for him. He has the bad pick. But then the second half, he looked like, okay, I got this. And the pure arm talent, some of those throws, like those strikes to Corey Davis, the second touchdown in particular, where he basically fits in a very, very tight window on a deep out throw. That's stuff that you don't always see.
True. And the other thing which caught me, and from my experience playing football with you and our friends, is there were a good amount of drop passes in that game. And, passes that even people will laugh, I could have caught.
Yeah.
So, they added, good 3 or 4 good passes that should have been received, and you would have a pretty even more solid day for Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that encouraged you, though, is that I took this early in the podcast, Joe Dallaliza, during the recap portion and during the open, is like, this game, you and I know this, that last year, if the Jets are down 16-0 in this game in Carolina, they lose this game 35-3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even if you go back, I was saying this with my coworker today. If this was a Bulls or a Gase team, come halftime, that team would have been steamrolled on the field, and we would have lost, because there wouldn't have been any kind of adjustment. There wouldn't have been any kind of, counterattack or idea. And that probably gives lauds to Saleh and his coaching and his staff and how they were able to adjust. Now, I know it's Sam Darnold's, but it's still Matt Rule, who, coaching the Panthers seems to be, I don't know, more
competent. He
seems like he could be more competent for sure than, say, other coaches or other teams or other lines. But I mean, the fact that they were flexible, the Jets, in the second half, and they were able to adjust I think that speaks volumes already in game one.
Yeah, this would be the year of the moral victory, in my opinion.
Yeah, true. I mean, honestly, I'm not going into this season with expectations of a winning season. I think, we're going to win some good games. We're going to win some close games. And there's going to be like those one or two stinkers where we're just going to be scratching our head. Like, how did, I don't know, how could we have lost there? But what's nice to see is going on fourth downs and actually succeeding at fourth downs. Whereas, if it was Gase or even Bowles for that matter, we would have punted the ball away with like 2 minutes left, down by 8 points.
The good old white, the white flag punts.
Yeah. There was like a sense of urgency. And other than that, I mean, the defense looked okay. I mean, they didn't break, and they played better in the second half. And overall, it was a close game. But Carolina was the better team for most of the game.
Yeah, it was. And now Sunday they're coming home. They get the Patriots coming in here. I think this is one they can win if they get significantly better offensive line play, because I don't think the Patriots are that impressive against the Dolphins week one. So what do you think the Jets have to do here to win this game besides just protect the quarterback better?
I honestly, they have to protect the quarterback. The defense, if they stay the way they're going right now, just tighten up a few things here and there. They're going to be going up against our nemesis, our Beelzebub, our Satan in Belichick. So it's going to be a tough game for us either way, because I feel like Belichick likes to torment us sometimes. And, but as long as our defense keeps their head on and Zach Wilson can, plays like he did in the second half, we need better play calling in the beginning of the game.
Oh, yes.
In my opinion, we need better play calling in the beginning of the game. And hopefully, we learned from game one.
Yeah, that's something I noticed too early in. They're playing very conservative. There's a lot of runs on first down. It was almost like they sort of knew, like, okay, our line can't block, so let's just try and, do some things, try and hide that fact it didn't work. And they say, what, screw it. We're going to do what we do well. And then the second half, they open things up, and then that's when the offense started moving the ball.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what, Zach Wilson, he's as advertised. He was running for his life, and he finished game one strong. He doesn't quit. I like to see that, and if I see that heart and that commitment in game two against the Patriots, I think we have I don't want to jinx anything just now, but I was actually reading something interesting there. Did you know that Sanchez, Geno Smith, and Sam Darnold all won their debut games for the Jets?
I do remember that.
Zach Wilson lost his, so yeah. I don't want to say anything, and I don't want to jinx anything, and I don't want to make any premonitions or predictions, but
it can only go up from here. Yeah, it can only go up from here.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, let's go to the picks for the week. Charlie Borders was here last week for Teen Challengers. He went 2-1 on the week. He had the Cardinals getting the 3 in Tennessee against the Titans. They blew them out. You had the Browns getting 6.5 points in Kansas City. They weathered that game most of the way before losing late by 4, so they covered the number. You had the Patriots laying the 3. They lost, so 2-1 on the week for Charlie. I, on the other hand, I had a rougher week. I went 1-2. I had the Seahawks laying the 2.5. They covered that number pretty easily. I had the football team getting a point at home against the Chargers. I lost that one when Fitzpatrick went out. And I had El Stinkowski out there. I had the Packers laying the 4.5 in Jacksonville. I have no idea what happened to that game.
Stinkowski.
Yeah. And I was the one that was most confident last week, Kevin. I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, Packers getting points, no breeze, neutral site. This could be easy.
Yeah. There was a lot of interesting games this past week. And to be honest, I don't know what happened with that Packer game, man. I was just sitting there like with my jaw to the floor. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and that was one of those things, and you know me, I know I love the tennis, so obviously that's at 4 o'clock, which means the men's final is on for you. So I was in there, I was bouncing around doing some other things. I come back on Red Zone and see it's 35. I'm like, what?
Yeah. You had a busy day, Mike.
Yeah. That's for sure. And on the year so far, Challengers early lead 2-1. I'm 1-2. I'm going to try and get back on track this week. And Kevin, you're going to see if you can build some momentum here for the visitors here and keep the momentum going forward.
Well, I mean, my track record is pretty good. I think I have a pretty decent lifetime record here on this podcast.
Yeah, you've done pretty well. You're not got the exact stats. I feel like you've had winning weeks each time you come on.
Yep.
All right.
I'm a winner.
All right. So with that in mind, let's go to the picks for week number 2. Kevin, you're up first here. Where are you going with pick number 1?
pick number 1, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Excuse me. I don't want to allude into that just yet. I'm going to go with the Washington football team over the New York Giants. Sorry, that was hard to get out. So I'm going with the Thursday night 8:20 game. Washington football team against the New York Giants. I don't think the Giants are a good team. And for once, it's nice to actually see them perform like the Jets used to be a few years ago. That and Riverboat Ron Rivera is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. And, I think he is my kind of guy, and he pulls some great calls on the field.
Yeah.
Not to say that I shouldn't really pull on the Giants that bad, because they're not that bad, but I really think that the Redskins are going to over the Giants.
Yeah, laying the 3.
Yeah, laying the 3.
Yeah. I have no problem with that pick because, again, this is the Giants who made Teddy Bridgewater look like an all-star, and Carolina was desperate to get rid of Sam Darnold. That's no big shakes. Even without Fitzpatrick, home team, short week, I can't argue with that pick.
We'll see.
Yeah. Where are you going with your next one?
The next one, I'm going to Sunday game. I'm going to pick the Steelers over the Raiders. I don't think Vegas is a really good team. I don't know what was going on Sunday. It was such a weird day for teams, for games. But I think that the Raiders passing game with Derek Carr is just, I don't know. I don't think it's spectacular. I think he's super overrated. And I remember when he got his huge money deal a few years ago, I was, what? For what? For who? I think this will be a get well game for their talent for the Steelers. So we'll see how that pans out. But I think the Steelers will win like 31-14.
You're laying the 5.5.
About that? Yeah, I'm laying the 5.5.
Yeah, I love that pick. I saw that. Like, damn you, Kevin, you stole that one from me, because that's one where I'm sitting there like, Raiders had that big emotional win on Monday night. They got fly east. They have the short turnaround, the 1 o'clock game. That, to me, is the recipe for we're going to come out flat and let the Steelers dominate us defensively. So I think that game's going to be a Steeler rout. I think you're right on the money with that one.
Yep, we'll see how it goes.
All right, pick number 3. Where are you going?
Pick on number 3 is where I nearly alluded to my first pick, but I was trying to go in sequential order. But it's a Sunday 8:20 game, and it's going to be the Chiefs at the Ravens. And I'm picking the Chiefs over the Ravens only because it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't know how you can. He had a great game, or not a great game, but it was a tough game. It was a good game on Sunday against the Browns. But, I think the Chiefs are just that new elite team. And to be honest, Mike, I think they're going to be elite for a good few years, and they're not going to really have much competition out in their division. So for a good while, at least. But, just like Mahomes, he's just he's everything. He throws, he runs, he gets hit, he gets up. He's got Tyreek Hill and, Travis Kelce. It's just, and with Andy Reid as coach, it's just, I don't know. They're like my darling team to me. I really like the Chiefs.
Yeah, laying the 3.5.
Yeah, laying the 3.5.
I love that pick, too, because for me, the Ravens looked bad on Monday night. They blew the early lead, and when did they ever play well against the Chiefs, Kevin?
I don't know. It's just like I always get the first time seeing Lamar Jackson go up against Patrick Mahomes, I was like, this is great, because Lamar Jackson getting picked 29th, I think, in the first round of the draft. Like, you could tell that was killing him, and he wanted to fight back. But he has a tall order against Patrick Mahomes. But it's just I want to see them become like the new rivalry. That's what I want to see.
All right, Kevin's picks are in. I'm up now. Pick number 1. I'm going to start out here with the dog. I'm going to take a home dog, which I love. The Miami Dolphins getting 3.5 points at home against the Bills in Miami. And this is one Miami played very well week 1. They picked up a win against the Patriots. They made some big stands. I was not impressed with what Buffalo showed me here. Buffalo struggled with the Steelers. They could not move the ball very well. And this is one for me. The weather's a big factor here, because that game's going to be 90 degrees on Sunday, like heat index near 100. You know as well as a Jet fan that going down to Miami in September is never easy. And I'm getting the hook at home, so I love that hook. Give me the 3.5 for the Dolphins, pick 1.
Nice, good pick.
All right, that's pick number 1. Pick number 2, I'm going with a team that absolutely murdered me last week, so I'm going to see if I can ride them this time. I'm going to take the Saints laying a 3.5 in Carolina against the Panthers here, and the Panthers did not really impress me, considering they were playing a Jets team that was very injured and did not do a ton offensively. And Sam Darnold missed some chances there. He had wide open touchdowns he missed. He had throws he missed. They were a little conservative here. And the Saints, very impressive defensively. I know they're not going to have Marshawn Lattimore, but again, it's only 3.5 points. I think they're a better football team than the Panthers. I'll lay them here at the Saints, pick 2.
Yeah. And that too, that's a good pick because, Sam Darnold, you go back to him real quick. I think he only threw for like 35 yards or 40 yards in the Jet game in the second half. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't feel too bad about letting him go from last year. So
absolutely. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, I'm going with a big dog here because this is one where I'm saying, okay, they look terrible in week 1. The number is probably very high. They have firepower. They can keep this the closer in the number. I'm going to take the Falcons getting 11.5 going to Tampa against the Buccaneers. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, this is a massive number. Tampa's out to win the football game, but we saw against Dallas that their pass defense had some issues, and they lost one of their corners, Sean Murphy-Bunting, to an injury in the game. Atlanta has got to have some pride here. They got themselves waxed at home to start the season. I feel like you get a better effort out of the Falcons here, and 11.5 is big. I can lose by 10 and still win the number here, so I'm going to take the Falcons and all those points, pick number 3.
Wow, that's a big pick.
For me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, some of these numbers are so huge. I'm like, that one I feel the most confident they're going to cover the number. Not win the game, just cover.
Yeah.
All right. So to reset the picks here, Kevin's taking the football team, laying 3 at home against the Giants on Thursday night. The Steelers laying 5.5 at home against the Vegas Raiders. And the Chiefs laying 3.5 in Baltimore against the Ravens. I am going with a home dog. The Dolphins getting 3.5 at home against Buffalo. The Saints laying 3.5 in Carolina against the Panthers. And the Falcons getting 11.5 points against the Buccaneers in Tampa. And those are your picks for week number 2 on the podcast. So very interesting spread here. We have a lot of divisional ground here covered.
It's a wide variety. I like it.
Yeah, I said, I got to take one of these big dogs. I was dating the Lions. I said, the Packers are too good. I said, Tampa's pass defense is vulnerable. I'm going to take the Falcons.
All right, Mike, we'll see how me and you do on week 2.
Absolutely. And one other piece of business I do every week here on the picks now, I've been doing the knockout pool this year, Kevin. So I'm giving my pick out on the podcast every week.
Okay.
Week 1, very dicey at the end there, but I advanced because the 49ers hung on to beat the Lions 41-33. That one got a lot closer than it needed to be.
Jesus, you're still going.
I'm still in there.
You're breathing.
Yep.
Just barely.
Yep. Week number 2. The knockout pick of the week is going to be the Cleveland Browns at home over the Houston Texans.
The
Texans got their win. They're going to come out to Cleveland and get smoked.
Yeah.
That game is going to... I think the Browns were favored by 12.5 points in that game.
Yes, they are. Browns got a good defense, so they gave Patrick Mahomes a good test.
Yeah. It's a big step on competition from at home against the Jaguars to going on the road to play Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right, so that's the pick for the knockout pool. Browns over Texans. I'm happy now I used the 49ers, saying they already started getting hurt again.
49ers. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yes.
This year's so weird, Mike. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just not used to it. Maybe it's coming out of the COVID fog. Maybe it's football's back and there's fans in the stands. It's just everything is so strange.
Absolutely. And next week, I'm going to be bringing in Giant fan Nick Frietta. We're going to be talking about the Giants after this Washington game. They get ready for Atlanta in week 3. Dude, they got to win. They can't go 0-2 again. Yeah.
No, they can't. And I feel bad for my Giants fan friends, but I don't really at the same time. So I'm just happy that we have a quarterback.
Yeah. We think we have a quarterback.
We think we have a quarterback. Yes. Let me phrase that. Yeah. We think we have a quarterback.
Yes, and they mentioned at the top of the show here, if the Giants lose this football game, they will have gone at least 0-2 in 8 of the last 9 seasons, which is almost unheard of.
Whoa. I did not know that.
It's real. They have a tendency to go on these bad runs to start seasons. It puts them in these big holes they can never get out of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from what I saw, I didn't really watch much of the game. I saw bits and pieces of it, but I mean, it just looked like an offensive mess. I don't know. But I think some of the players I saw that their defense played okay, I think at times, but they still gave up a lot You know,
Yeah. I'll play it this way for the Giants here. If you cannot go on the road and beat Taylor Heineke at quarterback here, you have major problems.
then what do you think? What do you think the Giants need to do to turn the boat around, or where do they need to improve? Is it Daniel Jones? Is it their offensive line? Is it their play calling? What do you think, Mike?
It's Dave Gettleman.
Oh, okay.
He's got to go because he does not know how to build this team.
He's got to go.
He got
his Boston accent.
Yeah, he's got to go. All right, Kevin. Thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, if you follow social media, keep us some of the stuff you're up to.
I'm not really up to much recently, Mike. I'm recently you caught me in the middle of a move. I'm just moved to Queens, so I'm closer to some psychotic Jet fans, and my landlord is a psychotic Met fan, so I'm not doing too bad. But social media, it's just the same. Castro photo at Instagram on Instagram.
Absolutely. Kevin, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again, Mike. It's always a pleasure.